Solasta II dropped their trailer March. We're getting finally access to the early access version of it. The channel will definitely be covering it, so I'm gonna do all the content that is there available. Probably when the full game is out, we're gonna tackle also a lore video, because in general, I want to try to fit in a lore video for our Let's Play series that we do. So, you know, full playthrough, and then afterwards a lore video to the universe. And if there's also time, or you guys love it, then maybe even an guide or builds video on top of that with describing what we did through our playthrough, and help you guys out if you have a harder time onboarding. Solasta, for those who are not familiar with it, before we jump into the trailer and I shut up and watch the trailer and then talk afterwards, is based on Dungeons & Dragons rule sets. They have their own homebrew rule set, so to say, their own homebrew world in the adventure. And now the sequel is coming out that looks fantastic. We're going to talk about the first title a little bit. We're going to talk about the next one that they're creating right now, but I'm going to zip it. Let's watch the trailer.
My dear children, I write this letter to you as testimony of my undying love. Theorcus, my beloved, you will honor our goddess more than I ever could. Ricard, my cherished, find your father's steel and face the challenges ahead.
What happened?
She knew Marike was coming for her.
Never forget, the bonds that tie the six of you will be your strength.
Lies. You should have saved her.
She deserves the peace of death.
What an interesting family you must have.
Is that fear I sense? Good.
Stay in the light. Never give in to darkness. Your loving mother, Marhin.
Whoa. Wow. Solasta II, ladies and gentlemen. Kepler's eating good with all the good games they're publishing. So, what is going on with Ben Starr? He's everywhere. Every RPG, I hear his voice. I'm happy for him, and I'm happy for his career, and he's doing an outstanding job. So that's why he is everywhere. So turning back to Solasta. Solasta is based on the D&D 5e rulebook, I think, and they made their own homebrew version of it and their own creation of it. So you're gonna have turn-based combat. You have your typical roll a d20, see if you hit your AC checks in terms of armor class that you have to level or surpass in order to hit, and then your damage roll with the weapon type in order to see how much damage it does. That's kind of like the base mathematical rule set d20 system of Dungeons & Dragons in Solasta uses, with their own adaptation of spells and whatnot. You might see some similarities, and something might feel familiar from one universe to the other, but it's fantastic. I can highly recommend it for to play Solasta 1. I think I might even revisit Solasta 1 when Solasta 2 is hitting, so we're gonna have like a dual playthrough going on with Solasta 1 and 2. And what they did's fantastically unique in their first title, and I hope to see this in the second as well, is when you created your party, your character, you had to choose a lot of backgrounds and where the character's coming from and what kind of profession they did and so on and so forth. And that actually played into the game, as in you're gonna meet people from your background who are like, hey, I don't know, you pick like a street urchin and whatnot, and you meet then as a gang of pocket thieves that have interacted with you in your past because of your origin that you choose when creating your character, and you have your little own narrative side quest going on based on your background story that you've created, your characters. It feels very alive instead of just giving you some bonuses in terms of dexterity plus because you're coming from the woods or whatnot. It actually has a story meaning as well and plays into the role play. So I fingers crossed we're gonna see the same integrity in Solasta 2 in terms of storytelling, that you create your party and all their background seeps into the storytelling of the game. Also, what they had in Solasta 1, for those who are loot goblins like me, they had carry capacity for your group, so it kind of was fair in order to not, carry 2 billion arrows with you for your archer, but you could like grab a few packs of bow of arrows, and that was it before you get over cucumbered. They had an guild there that you could meet quite at the beginning of the game with some halflings who tell you about their business opportunity, meaning you go into a dungeon, you clear the dungeon, you come back into the city, you know tell them whatsoever, and then you can go to them and be like, hey, that dungeon back there is good for the picking, go and loot it. So they will go in there with the company, loot all that stuff, present you that loot once more when you are in the city and not have the risk of over cucumbering, and be like, hey, while going through there, we found even that secret chest that you missed. Here's the loot of that dungeon. Do you want to keep anything from it? If yes, then you can click on it and it comes into inventory. If no, we're going to sell it and we get like a 20% cut on that. So you get like a little bit of a deficit in terms of the income if you would grab all the loot and go and sell it, but it would be a lot of back and forth just for hauling out that tons of loot there. So you would never worry about, do I leave this behind? What happens, etc. So was really cool mechanic that they put in there. So I hope to see that in Solasta 2 as well, because I'm a freaking loot goblin. I want to grab everything that is shiny. And I'm curious what kind of character you guys gonna create. For my person, my main character will be a dwarf. The other 5 spots, because we saw 6 character group, right? So we're gonna control 6 characters in this in adventure. So gonna be a 6 character party. I hope we're gonna make them on our own as well. And of course, there are gonna be probably some predefined that you can grab. But in mind you, we're gonna have an probably write out casting, in a sense, we could say, on our Discord about Solasta 2 characters, and the best 5 will accompany my main character on its adventure. Of course, I'm gonna try to make it balanced in terms of like having different classes present. So to their role, as in like tank, healer, damage dealer, etc. So we have from everything something. So of course I'm gonna present that blank list on the Discord, and if you want to participate, you can. If nobody participates is also good, then I'll just do the full party on my own. But yeah, I invite you to do that, and probably we're gonna get some keys from Tactical Adventure, aka Kepler, to give away for Solasta 2 Early Access launch in March. So I will keep those 5. I will ask for 5 keys specifically, and give those 5 keys to the 5 characters that make it to the group, to give a little bit of an goodie incentive of putting in some effort, work, background story, how's the character thinking, etc., so we can roleplay as good as possible. Golden says, my friends can't let me play in their RPG campaigns because I loot everything. I was over cucumbered from all the plates and paintings I had. Sounds like either Divinity or Baldur's Gate that you played there. But I get it. I'm the same. So give me a freaking bag of holding and let me shove stuff in there, and don't worry about loot encumbrance and whatnot, especially in a single player game, because there is no competition, there's no competitive PvP parts of it or something like that where encumbrance would make sense, unless it's part of the mechanic and want the game to make it more difficult for you, then yeah. But still, loot goblin, I would say both games. Panda says the voice actors from BG3 are getting lots of work. Yeah, I mean, I get it. They saw, and I'm happy that BG3 got so much attention and so much success because the industry saw how important and how beneficial it is if you tell a good story, if you put some good acting behind it, and don't have just. I think we're out of the era. I still love it because it's then my head cinema, but for entertainment purpose and for you watching, I'd rather have something voice acted or shown as in cutscene than having to read through it on my own. I mean, don't get me wrong, loved the whole Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader campaign that we did. I loved the whole Path of the Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous hardcore run that we did. Sadly, did not make it to the end. I still don't know how it is to romance the freaking succubus. Who knows? Maybe you can make it happen. So we can also revisit Pathfinder and make the series successful on the channel. Would love to do a full Wrath of the Righteous run as well. Solasta II, ladies and gentlemen, beards. I'm curious. What are your thoughts? What do you think? Wishes? Expectations? Graphically, it looks amazing. Even Solasta 1 could have looked amazing, but they had to deliver earlier than the art department was ready, or there was some misunderstanding or misshaping that their actual modules that they created for Solasta 1 did not make it into Solasta. That's why some of the graphics are looking a little bit outdated on Solasta 1. But we can see already Solasta 2 is putting definitely a nice standard of visuals in there, and on top, amazing D20 system and mechanics. And I have my fingers crossed they're going again deep with backgrounds, RPG, side story, meaningful conversations, meaningful consequences, and a lot of approaches to a problem. Just like the demo that we played. You can watch the video on the channel if you want to. Look for Solasta 2 Core Maker TV. There was an encounter with I think kobolds, and kobolds are kind of like a lower tier draconic race, or are they just believing they are? I can't remember exactly the full lore behind the Solasta kobolds, and the worship dragons. So there's a situation about a cave with some kobolds worshiping a dragon, and you could sneak in, for example, and steal a dragon scale, and then come back to the front and present the dragon scale and be like, "Hey, I'm one of you," and try the persuasive approach to convince them that you are part of whatever their belief is. So then also the cleric plays into that with his religion backgrounds, and the whole group banter feels so alive, way better than what BG3 managed to do, in my opinion, because BG3 focuses a lot of on your main character and your responses, what's also fine. But Solasta manages to get the whole group picture into the storytelling because of every persona throwing in something and trying to get the spotlight on them for moments, and not just your MC. Because there the spotlight is, for the whole ensemble, not a single target. Different approaches in terms of game direction, both work. I love more the Solasta approach personally because of the whole CRPG group vibe, and that everybody's important, not just one character. Because it's a group effort in the end. In the end, unless you're playing Dark Urge, then not so much.